Your eyes are not deceiving you. Yes, Vanderbilt is a top 25 team. Look, back in the preseason, this game between Texas and Vanderbilt, I looked at it and I said, Texas is going to come into Nashville. They're going to mop the floor with Vandy. Let's move on. That may not be the case anymore. This is now a top 25 matchup. Nobody saw this coming. Number 5 Texas, number 25 Vanderbilt on Saturday afternoon down in Nashville. And this actually might turn in to a pretty solid and competitive game. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. Ready to break down this very intriguing SEC matchup. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of those exclusive expert picks, some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country, beating out over 80% of the national handicappers, not just this year, but each of the last 6 years as well. So if you want to win big with us for one of the lowest prices in the country, and your subscription will give you a full year, 365 days, something no other handicapper is going to do for you, this is the place for you. Go sign up. It's never too late to sign up. Again, you get it for a full year. You buy now, you get it through practically all of October next year. So go sign up, take advantage of it, and we'll start winning big with us today. So Texas and Vandy, man. A team that was picked to maybe be a cellar dweller in the SEC versus a team that was maybe projected to win the national title by some. And they're meeting in a top 25 matchup with major playoff implications, and Vanderbilt looking to pull off another massive upset. Now, here's the thing. This is something you're going to see a lot, right? Vanderbilt actually owns the series edge in this game, right? People are going to tweet about it. You're going to see it on your Instagrams. You're going to see it on the broadcast, I'm sure, on Saturday afternoon. Vanderbilt leads the all-time series over Texas 8-3-1. And you go, wow, really? It goes, yeah, except they haven't played since 1928. So let's, pump the brakes there. Obviously, a little fun tidbit there. But Vanderbilt, one thing they should be proud about is the fact they're ranked in the regular season for the first time since 2008. Clark Lee has done a phenomenal job with this program. They are one win away from the postseason. And what better way to clinch a postseason berth than by upsetting Texas at home? Take a look at the offense. We'll start with the Longhorns. Look, they looked bad last week, right? This Texas team, the number 1 team in the country, was hosting Georgia. Everybody, including myself, was picking them to win that game, and they came out flat. Found themselves down 23-0 at halftime and only mustered 15 points on the day. But they still got a lot of talent, a lot of speed. They're 15th in the country overall, 461 yards per game, 16th in the pass, 295 passing yards per game, and they average over 166 rushing yards per game. Quinn Ewers obviously had injuries earlier this year, but is still thrown for over 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. And they do a great job of spreading the ball out. 4 players have at least 300 reception yards, led by Isaiah Bond, who has 380 yards. But here's the question I have for Texas. 2 things, really. Number 1, can you come out fast? Can you start strong, unlike you've done each of the last 2 weeks? If you go back to the Oklahoma game, they were down 3-0 at the end of the first quarter. Started off, I know they won big. I get that, but the first quarter was atrocious. Quinn Ewers was missing a lot of throws. They couldn't get points on the board. They couldn't sustain drives. Yes, they won in dominating fashion, but it was a really bad first quarter and a really bad first 20 minutes of that game. So can they come out stronger against Georgia? As we mentioned, they were down 23-0 at halftime. 23-0 at halftime. Try to make it a game later, 23-15. Ultimately lost 30-15. So can they come out stronger? And number 2, if Quinn Ewers starts to struggle a little bit, if he's missing throws, if he's turning the ball over, whatever it may be, does Steve Sarkisian make that mid-game pull and put in Arch Manning? And again, that's only if he starts to struggle, but he didn't look good last week against Georgia. He didn't really look that great against Oklahoma. Does he pull him if he struggles early against Vanderbilt? Because we know from experience, we know from seeing that Alabama game a few weeks ago, you cannot give Vandy hope. Texas has to make sure they come out there strong and make sure they know Vanderbilt does not need to ever believe they can be in this game. Against Alabama, they did that, right? They scored on the opening, or one of the opening drives. Bama threw the pick 6, just like that. It was 13-0, and Vanderbilt thought we can win this game. Texas, offensively, needs to come out there and make sure that does not happen. For Vanderbilt, on the other hand, look, the Diego Pavia show has been fun to watch. This offense is not the most electric in the country. They're not even one of the best in the SEC, but they are efficient. They're averaging over 200 passing yards per game, over 162 rushing yards per game. Pavia, the transfer in from New Mexico State, has thrown for over 1,300 yards, nearly 1,400, 11 touchdowns, just 1 interception, takes great care of the football, and he's the team's leading rusher right now with 470 yards and 3 touchdowns. Behind him is the running back Cedric Alexander, who has 380 yards. Eli Stowers has been phenomenal at wide receiver, 463 yards. Also has over 100 reception yards in 3 of his last 4 games. They are a team offensively, guys, and again, they aren't the flashiest in the world. They aren't the most explosive in the world, but they're getting the job done. And what has impressed me the most with Vanderbilt is they have shown me they can win games in any sort of way. They've shown me they can win a shootout like we saw against Alabama, 40-35. They've shown me they can play from behind and win. They blew that big lead against Virginia Tech, didn't get rattled, won that game in overtime. They can win a low-scoring game, just like they did against Kentucky a few weeks ago. So whatever game Texas wants to try to make this, Vanderbilt's not going to be scared of it. They believe they can be in it. Shootout, great. Low-scoring, great. We can do whatever we need to do to win this game. But my question for Vanderbilt is, can the offense be explosive enough to put up the points on Texas? We know Texas is going to score. You look, since that Bama game where they put 40 points on Alabama, Vanderbilt's kind of fallen off offensively. They were held to 288 yards and 20 points against Kentucky. They were only held to 24 points last week against Ball State. 26-point favorites, only mustered 24 points in a 10-point victory. Maybe Vanderbilt was actually looking ahead to Texas. Who knows? But you need that offense to start getting back to higher scoring. They dropped 34 on Virginia Tech. They dropped 40 on Alabama. They dropped over 30 against Georgia State, even though they lost that game. So they've got to find a way to put some points on the board. Get Diego Pavia some time. Allow him to play his game, which is extending plays, escaping the pocket. That's what they've got to do if they want to be able to win this game. Texas, meanwhile, defensively is going to do the opposite of all of that, right? They're going to make sure Diego Pavia stays in the pocket, and they're going to make sure they don't have any explosive plays. They're going to try to hold them to as little of solid drives as possible. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. That's going to be the goal for Texas. And they have a good chance of doing that, right? Statistically, the Longhorns have the number 1 defense in the country, allowing just 237 yards per game. They are second in the nation in stopping the pass, allowing just 133 passing yards per game, and 18th versus the run at 104.3 rushing yards per game. And if you go back last week against that Georgia game, you go, well, they allowed 30 points to Georgia. That wasn't very good. And it's like, yeah, except if you take a deeper dive, Georgia only had 283 yards of offense in that game. That's it. Only 175 passing yards in that game. That's it. Texas defense did their job. The Texas offense did not, because 20 of the 30, 2/3 of the points that Georgia scored last week in Austin came from drives that began in Texas territory. 20 of their 30 points came from drives that began in Texas territory, mostly due to turnovers. So the key for Texas is, again, I'm not saying they would have won the game, but if Texas doesn't turn the ball over the way they were doing, and they're pinning Georgia deep, or you're not giving Georgia gifts with these turnovers, with this favorable field position, that game's a lot closer. Texas maybe wins it. It's hard to win when the defense is starting to play defense on their own 20 yards of the end zone. That's not good. I don't think that happens again now. But the Longhorns kind of want to reverse the roles here, right? Well, they did offensively last week. They want to start doing defensively now. They want to force turnovers on Vanderbilt. They want to force Pavia to stand tall in the pocket and deliver the throws. Can he do it? Probably, but that's not going to fit to his game. He's the team's leading rusher. He needs to run. If they can take that aspect away from Vanderbilt's offense and force them to be a pass-only team, mostly within the pocket, I like Texas odds a lot. Take a look at Vanderbilt. Their defense. Clark Lee is a defensive-minded guy, and their defense has actually been pretty surprising this year. They really have. They're only giving up 215 passing yards per game, only 116 rushing yards per game. This is not your stereotypical Vanderbilt defense that's just rolling over and getting torched left and right. They've actually played some pretty solid ball. But to win this game, they're going to have to pretty much be flawless on both sides, and they're going to have to force turnovers on Texas. They're going to have to. I'm not saying they've got to get the turnovers to where it's in Texas territory where the drive starts, but they've got to find a way to keep them off the board, find a way to create mistakes, make defense into offense. That's how you win this game. The good thing for them, Texas has done a horrible job of taking care of the ball the last few weeks. Texas had 4 turnovers last week against Georgia, and overall they've had 7 turnovers in their last 3 games. Vanderbilt has forced only 8 all year, but I'll be interested to see this turnover-heavy Texas team against a Vanderbilt team that's going to be hyped, ready to go, flying all over the place. Can Vanderbilt get lucky a few times, force a pick, force a fumble, get pressure on Ewers or Manning, whoever it may be, and give their offense an opportunity in a short field to put some points on the board? That's really how you win this game, because this Texas offense is so good, they're so fast, they're so electric. They've got to find a way to slow them down, and the biggest way to do that is pressure and mistakes. So, guys, what's going to happen down in Nashville? This is a very interesting game from so many reasons. Obviously, Vanderbilt is so hyped. They are ranked in the regular season for the first time since 2008. They are believing. They are believing in Clark Lee. They are believing in their program. Texas, on the other hand, you can't help but wonder what their mindset will be. Will Texas be hungover following their loss to Georgia? A loss where, game day was there. They were number one in the country. It was at home, and you just got it handed to you. Or will they come out angry? Will they come out mad? I will say this. Vanderbilt is no pushover. Vanderbilt has been more battle-tested this year than Texas. There's no doubt about that. The Commodores have played Virginia Tech. They've played Missouri. They've played Alabama. They have played Kentucky on the road. And they went 3-1 in those games. The only loss was a double overtime loss to Missouri, which ain't too bad. That game was in Columbia. So they've done a very good job. They're more battle-tested than Texas, who, has played Georgia and, has played Michigan on the road, but, Michigan ain't really that good. And I don't know that's so much to brag about anymore. So this game, I think, will be a little bit closer than people realize. I don't think Texas is going to come out here and curb stomp Vanderbilt. I don't. I think Vanderbilt's going to hold their own. I think they're going to make a game out of this. But ultimately, the size and the speed of Texas is what's going to wear Vanderbilt down. Might be close in the first half. Texas pulls away in the second half. The Longhorns will win this game, but it will not be by as large of a margin as many think it will be, or maybe as many want it to be. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of those exclusive expert picks. You do not want to miss out on those. Some of the best spread picks in the entire country, beating out over 80% of the national handicappers, not just right now, but each of the last 6 years as well. So if you want to win big with us for a full year-long subscription, no one else is offering you that. We can guarantee you that. Go sign up. The link down in the description below, thegridironexpert.com. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.